Good evening,
And we are
everybody. What?
live.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, and joining me is my co-host, Nick Muley. And today I decided that we've been going over, so we've had like so much fun going over all the classics of horror, like especially from the 80s. But today we wanted to go over something modern, a film that I absolutely enjoy seeing, and it is A Quiet Place that was released in 2018. And this film was just wow. It was like one of the most. It was like a surprisingly good horror thriller.
It was, and it was very original too. That's what I really liked
Oh,
about it. It didn't focus. It was a film that really didn't rely, with the exception of the apocalyptic side of the world. For the most part, it was really a film that really didn't rely on earlier films that kind of reminded us of an earlier movie. So um, that's that was pretty original in my opinion.
indeed. And this was actually, and I was like surprised to see when I first saw this film, and how amazingly well done it was, because it was made by the most probably the most unlikely of people, John Krasinski, who was previously known, who was had known for his comedic roles, mostly from his role as Jim in The Office.
Yep, The Office. We cannot forget
Oh,
that.
oh, yeah. So as far as I know, he had like no prior horror film experience, and then he just wrote, directed, and starred in this masterpiece, and it really just blew me away.
It blew me away because, as someone who's been a fan of The Office for years and watched it when it was actually running, back in the early 2000s, if I compare to when A Quiet Place came out and to my young days, watching The Office with Jim in it, back then I would have never guessed twice that he would ever get involved in the horror genre. I always thought this guy's always going to be in comedy. He's just so good at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, I thought the same way about Jordan Peele, and then he released Get Out, and then Us, and now Nope.
Yeah, he's kind of, it's like, I don't know what it is. It's not even just Jim. It seems like a lot of these comedians out there lately, they've really been delving a lot into the horror genre. I mean, they do, like, for years they always focus on doing comedy stuff, and now all of a sudden they start getting involved in all this horror genre stuff. I mean, maybe they just need the job. I don't know what it is, but they've been really good at, Jim and all these other comedians. They've been doing really good at it. So, they should definitely stick with it.
Yeah, it's just amazing how these both of these comedic actors have no prior experience to like directing horror films, especially Jordan Peele. I mean, Get Out was his directorial debut, and they managed to create these masterpieces.
Right.
Yeah. So, A Quiet Place is a post-apocalyptic horror thriller focusing on a family trying to survive by staying completely silent in order to avoid these alien creatures that are hunting everyone by sound. They're basically set on destroying anyone and anything that creates noise.
Right, right.
Like, I I had a feeling it was like some kind of like when I first saw the teaser trailer, did the reaction video for it, and oh man, it was like a while back. I was like almost 5 years ago, I think. And
4 years ago, yeah.
yeah, and when I saw in the trailer those claw marks on the wall, I just knew on like I thought maybe there was some kind of a paranormal force at first, but then when I saw those claw marks, like some kind of animal with it making scratches, like wow, I just knew there was like some kind of a creature that's causing all
Something
this
bad.
insanity. Something
Pickle
really
Tom,
bad.
what's up?
Hello,
Pickle Tom.
Tom. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just know something, those kind of claw marks, that tells you, yeah, whatever's here is definitely bad news. Very, very, very bad news.
Yeah, and then not only that, but also we like you show as you watch the like more of the trailers further on, and you see like the family seem to be like the only people that are really shown in this film. Makes you think, where is everybody else? Like this is the thing, and that made me realize this is a apocalyptic setting. Like whatever this family's hiding from has basically brought humanity brought all of society to its knees. It just when it shows them walking through a town and where it's just no other people around, completely deserted, it's like makes you wonder, oh man, this is probably like a worldwide event.
Well, and it is, because if you remember, John Krasinski's character tries to contact other countries in hopes of finding, any civilization left, to no avail.
Oh
He
yeah, when you
tried,
see the film. Oh
when
yeah,
you
when
see
you
the
see the
film,
film,
yeah, it's
yes,
like, yeah, when you see
but
it, it's like there's no, they contact different countries, including countries where English is probably really not a common language in them. Just trying to find anybody and using like an old telegraph system.
yeah, Morse code just to
Morse
figure out
code.
any sign of life.
What's up,
And
Brett?
yep, totally different. John Wayne and oh.
Oh, okay. That's true.
Yeah, no, John Wayne was definitely not in this film.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, when you watch the trailers, that's what I was thinking. And I'm like, well, what the whole setting for that's when I was piecing together the whole apocalyptic setting where there was like just focusing on just this family. And also the fact that they were trying to avoid making any kind of noise because the family freaked out when a lantern fell down.
Yeah.
And so it made me think, what is this thing that they're avoiding? What do they need to stay quiet from? But so it made me think, whatever this is, it hunts by sound.
Sounds like, is this one of your subscribers, Don?
Steven Stark? No. Oh, I know who this is. Yeah, this is somebody I know from work. But
That's like World War Z says.
World War Z. Well, in terms of apocalypse, yes, but in this instance, this is a much harder threat to avoid because these are quadrupedal. The way I describe these creatures, they're quadrupedal. They're completely blind. They hunt by ultra sensitive hearing. They have this part of the side of their head they open up to really heighten their sense of sound. So the way I see it, they make me think of like armor plated versions of the Lickers from Resident Evil.
They kind of do. Yeah.
Yeah, because the way they're quadrupedal, they crawl on walls, they have sharp claws. The only thing that's missing is that elongated tongue. That's the only major difference between them and the Lickers.
They also have a little bit of similar appearance to the Demigorgon from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, the way parts of their face open up.
Yeah, like just like the Demigorgon, they have, like you said, they have no eyes. They really don't have like an actual mouth. It's like much like the Demigorgon. It's like the head itself is like the mouth too.
Yeah, I mean these ones do have mouths, so like but it's just that like parts of their head, their face just like opens up.
Not like the Demigorgon. That's why I'm trying.
Similar to that,
kind of comparing them to that.
Oh yeah.
Tom here says, I have often thought about the possibility of a post-apocalyptic type world. I think I could do well in it.
Yeah, like whenever.
Sorry, I was just reading. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Well, as long as YouTube is still around, then I could have some very interesting videos.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, Tom? That would truly be, this is Tom's world then, because he has that entire world.
Yep, the world in the future, the world is yours, Tom.
Yeah.
It really will be Tom's world.
It really will be Tom's world. And more importantly, he's still going to be asking people to like and subscribe to youtube.com/this is Tom's world, even though the rest of the world, even though the apocalypse is near, he might be the last. Hey, you know what? Maybe the aliens would know. They could subscribe.
Yeah, I would just like to say, Tom, in this instance, it like basically if would you just be thankful a quiet place is not is not real, because I figure like going through life daily avoiding making even the smallest amount of noise, good luck with that.
The world according to Tom, he says. The Quiet Place. What's up, Brad? The Quiet Place is like the sister movie to the Bird Box. What's up, Anthony?
I can kind of see that, but basically like a dark force, like these creatures come into the world and bringing the mankind to its knees, and like this is like one of the best examples of post-apocalyptic horror that I've seen in years.
Yeah.
I mean
I mean, we have seen previous movies again, like involving the apocalypse. Obviously, the most common of them, as we're all very familiar with, is the zombie apocalypse. And there've been quite a number of there's been plenty, oh no, excuse me, quite a couple of alien movies throughout the years, at least in over the last 60, 70 years
Oh yeah.
about alien invasions taking over the world, making, of course, either in either so I lost my train of thought there. Either enslaving the human race or killing the entire human race, and they always do it through different means.
Yep.
But
Whether it's just straight out murdering everybody with their ships like War of the Worlds, or just creating copies of people like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, just basically plain out killing everyone just so they could have the planet to themselves. Because this not necessarily, some of those movies do kind of point out how we are, because sometimes they also point out the real reality is that we're really the bad guys and we're doing wrong to our planet. So like pollution, environmental issues and stuff, and the aliens, which really are supposed to be which if you kind of look at are really the good guys, are exterminating so they can make the world a better place and do it their way, if you will. So that's
Yeah, kind of
not
like,
necessarily that's what A Quiet Place shows, but we
oh no.
but we see that we've seen that with previous alien movies.
Yeah, like in The Day the Earth Stood Still, where like the alien is saying, you got to change your ways for the sake of the Earth."
Exactly. It's like either you change your ways or we're gonna get rid of you and we'll do it ourselves. So that's just
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
that's just how it's always been with a lot of those movies.
Oh,
Let's not forget about fart. Could you get killed? Could get you killed. That is a noise.
yeah. Yeah. It could.
Zombies,
And
Chris.
British zombies. Oh, like Shaun of the Dead. Yep, that's another one.
Yeah,
We're definitely going to be covering that one in the future as well.
we will soon.
Oh yeah, but but in this instance, in A Quiet Place, these aliens came to Earth. Basically not to just destroy humanity, but basically just attack anything that makes noise.
Right.
Like we've seen them go after like basically electronic equipment, and also there was a scene where it kills like a raccoon, that's just running around and just yeah. So
And when they kill, I mean, these things kill fast. Like
yeah.
you don't even, not even for a heartbeat. I mean, it gets so, they're so fast when they attack, to the point where they don't even have time to even react or scream. It's just like boom, and that's one hit, you're done. I
Yeah,
mean,
these things.
it's over for you.
Oh yeah, these things are quadrupedal. They'll basically go like after you like a cheetah. They'll just go in there and just take you down.
They don't care what it is.
Just strike you down with their claws.
And I mean, and the way how how they run so fast. I mean, you could probably bet that it's in the order that they got to be running at least 50 to possibly even 100 miles per hour. So
Could
you're
be.
not going to be able to run away.
Oh yeah, outrunning them is out of the question. No, the only thing you can do is try to stay as silent as possible. Just hope that they can't detect you, because again, these things are blind. They just primarily hunt by sound.
Right.
Yep. And
Tom here says this is the second time today I've heard Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Dad brought up the original earlier while we were talking about the original with Kevin McCarthy.
oh yeah, I remember that one.
The comment was a little repetitive with the words "the original." Sorry, very tired today. I could tell.
Oh, I mean, I just love the opening scene, the way it just sets the tone for the entire film. Like, gives you an idea of, wow, this is really an apocalyptic world, where it shows the day 90, like 3 months after these things came, and then shows basically the aftermath of what they've done to mankind. It shows the town that the Abbott family, the characters that they go into to get supplies, completely deserted, in ruins. You see abandoned cars. You see a bulletin board full of missing persons posters. You see basically they're just no sign of human life. The whole place is just basically a dead zone.
Right. Day of
And
Truffles. I think Anthony means of another movie that's apocalyptic. It's actually I think called The Day of the Triffids. That was kind of another apocalyptic movie that was released back in the early 1960s. It was about these you really can't tell if they're aliens or not. I think they are supposed to be, but it's about these killer plants that shoot spores into people's faces. And the movie, I think it was released about 60 years ago. Yeah, 1962. It's in color. I will tell you one thing though, even though it's an older movie, that movie
yeah,
actually I saw it. I think I probably saw it back when I was in high school. That movie actually scared the hell out of me because I didn't realize how bad these plants were. And it does have that apocalypse. Yep, see, he got it correct. The Day of the Triffids. It
oh,
does have that apocalyptic feeling, but what's even more frightening about those things is that there are so many of them and they come in like swarms. It's like swarms and swarms of these killer plants, and there's nowhere to run. It's like a living sunflower cornfield.
hey,
So
at
that's
least
the movie you should check. I'm surprised you haven't seen that, Don.
oh, hey, as long as that movie does a better job portraying plant life as the villain than The Happening did, then yeah.
Yeah, oh, it
Uh,
definitely did. It scared me. So, but yeah, it's about these killer. Again, I don't know if they're supposed to be aliens or not, but they're like killer plants that shoot spores into people's faces, and it's scary. They got some pretty good special effects for them, even back in 1962.
I'll have to look into that because so far, as far as me, like my experience with film, the best killer plant movie I've ever seen was Little Shop of Horrors.
Which, ironically enough, it came out right around the same time, just 2 years earlier, the original one from 1960. If you kind
Oh,
of look at it, if you kind of look at both movies, even though they have no connection one another other than the similar plot story, it's like if you look at like Little Shop of Horrors, the original one from 1960, Day of the Triffids was, you could probably call it as if you could probably call the film like it's the film that Little Shop of Horrors would be if it was a real serious horror film, no comedy whatsoever. But it
yeah,
has, but you're not only dealing with one in Little Shop of Horrors, you're dealing with one living plant. Day of the
right.
Triffids, you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of them. They're intelligent and they're there to kill and take over the world.
Oh yeah, but I actually was referring to the 1986 version with Rick Moranis,
Yeah, I
that
know.
one. But
I know, but
yeah,
I just
which,
want, go ahead.
yeah, it is just one plant, unless you count the alternate ending, the original ending.
True. But in
Yeah.
this one, though, but yeah, no, I just want to bring up the original because, again, it came out, the original one came out 2 years before Day of the
Mhm.
Triffids came out. So it's, but no, definitely check out Day of the Triffids, another good apocalyptic film.
I'll look into it. And let's see. Oh yeah,
Yes.
one of the things I wanted to bring up, one of the biggest aspects about this film that makes it incredibly unique is that there's very little spoken dialogue. Almost all the dialogue is done through American Sign Language because that's basically the way the family is able to communicate with each other without having to make noise. Just using sign language. And the most interesting thing, Nick, I'm not sure if you knew about this, but the daughter in that film, Reagan, who is deaf in the film and talks to everybody through sign language. She's actually played by Melissa Simmons, who actually is deaf in real life.
That's correct. Yeah. And that's, putting her in a role like that is perfect for her, and that's the one thing I think a lot of people realize is that, I mean, understandably it was for the plot, but there's really not that much dialogue in the film. So, I mean, we get the idea of why they need to stay quiet, but you don't really come across a lot of movies out there that has very little dialogue in it because there's only small parts, and that's really it. The rest, put it this way,
Yep.
to me, it really kind of had that silent film aspect to it.
It did in to some extent, yes. And I just like how they actually got this actress to and to play the part. I think she did a fantastic job with the role. And not only that, she also taught the cast and crew American Sign Language throughout the production. So that way, like they're able to do this for the film, and also so that she can communicate with everybody
Right.
on the cast, both cast and crew. So,
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
yes.
Oh my God, Tom. Her name is Reagan. There is only one Reagan in a film for me, and I'm sure you know the movie of which I speak. Yes, we do. I know exactly which movie that is.
Yep, that would be this one,
Yep,
right?
The Exorcist. Yep, I would think so.
Yep, another classic that we're gonna have to cover one day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in fact, just an idea because we're only a few months away from 2023. I'd say it will be the 50th anniversary of that movie, so I'd wait
Yep, that's what I'm saving
on
it for.
that movie.
You just read my mind, man. That's exactly what I was planning.
That's awesome. Glad
Oh yeah.
glad you I'm glad I was able to glad I was ahead of you.
But yeah, so yeah, I think it's just like extraordinary, and like the way that the character like is depicted, I feel like is like obviously like with the way the fact that she's deaf in real life really gives the more realism to like having a deaf character in the film, and like her whole struggle with the with finding a cochlear implant that works, because that's like one of the when like cochlear implants do play a huge role in this film.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that is, and it also shows like a reality as far as the deaf community, how they struggle to like try to like improve the hearing to some extent, or try to improve it completely. Like with the use of cochlear implants, these surgeries, because it's always been tough for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just you could tell that this was during like, even as things were falling apart of these due to these creatures that it was just like during the midst of, a rather struggling community in this case, with hearing and stuff like that.
Oh yes, and I do like in certain parts of the film, like it really like there are parts where it switches, the camera switches between characters, and when it switches to Millicent Simmons' character, when it switches to Reagan, like the sound is cut off, like it gives you the feel of like her point of view, like when like not hearing anything,
Yeah,
like the audio. Do you ever
definitely.
notice that in certain parts of the film where the audio just cuts out when the camera focused on her?
Yeah, right. Because we're getting basically almost like we're getting the idea of like what she can't hear. It's like whenever it focuses on her, it's like not only it gives that message like not only is she deaf, but it's like the entire world is well, no, let me reframe that. We're basically damn, I just almost lost it for a second. It's basically like we're hearing what she can't hear, in other words.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
geez, everything all right over there? I hear that.
I know. Hope whoever they're responding to, hope they're okay. My prayers are with them.
Yep. And
Uh,
I just want to say something really quickly because we brought that up.
right.
Obviously, I'm sure some of you guys know, but um, and of course, obviously, because we had him on last year, I just want to give a quick shout out for Jeremy, who just went through his surgery. From what I spoke to him earlier today, the surgery was a success. He is in some pain, mostly on the right side of his face. He did see himself in the mirror. It's not as bad as he everyone thought it was going to be, but he should be able to come home on Thursday. His mouth is wired at as we speak. But even though I know he's not watching, I just want to say, Jeremy, we definitely wish you a good luck to your recovery. And hopefully, we're looking forward to having you back on real soon by the beginning of the new year. So
Oh
our
yes.
support and prayers our support and prayers go out to you.
Oh yeah. Keep going strong, Jeremy.
Keep it going. You're doing
Yes.
great.
Yep. Just so glad that it went smoothly.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Anyways,
so and what I also what was I going to say? There was one thing I wanted to point out. Oh yeah, the opening scene. I consider that to be like one of the most just the way the what they played out. I'd like to give not only just an idea of the kind of world that these people are living in, but also to create a little something extra to actually create shock value and
Oh,
yeah,
I
because
remember this scene.
you know where I'm
Yeah,
going with this, right?
yeah.
There is
In fact, even right now, I can picture it.
yeah, and so there's the opening scene is where, like I said, the Abbott family go into the town where, and let's see. So yeah, we've got yeah, we've got Evelyn played by Emily Blunt, John Krasinski's wife. Yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. Yeah, John Krasinski and his wife, yeah, Emily Blunt, both star in this film, playing husband and wife. In the film. And
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. What the hell was that?
ads,
I don't know what that was, but that was weird. Sorry about that, Don.
no problem.
Startled
And
the hell out of
so
me.
yeah, so let's see, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so they go into the town and go to get supplies, and so they're young. They have three children. There's Reagan, who we just discussed, and let's see, Marcus, the first born son, and Bo, the youngest, who was about I think 3 or 4 years old at the time. At the character was,
At
uh,
least.
so so they were gathering supplies, medicine, anything that they need in order to survive, and they're walking back to their gathering everything. As when they're done, the youngest when Bo is just drawing a spaceship, a rocket on
Oh,
on the ground, and showing Reagan, and he says the rocket is how we will escape. And this will become ironic in a minute. When he looks at a rocket as his means of salvation, because he actually does find a space shuttle toy, which Krasinski says no, we can't have you can't have that. It makes too much noise. Takes the batteries out and everything. But then when as they leave, Reagan gives Bo the toy, without the batteries, because they thought, okay, if it has no batteries, makes no noise. But little does she know, Bo picks up the batteries and puts them in the toy. And as they're walking back on the trail, which I will also, if I mention this, I think it's very clever that they actually you put down sand trails for them to walk on, so it lessens the sound of footsteps.
I think it's
Although
flour actually, because it looked pretty white. I think it might have been flour.
it could have been flour, it could have been sand, something soft for them to walk on without making noise anyway. But yeah, so they walk back, and Bo had put the batteries in the toy, makes the noise. The one of those creatures comes at him, and Krasinski is too late to save him. And
Yeah, he
I
meets a relatively
it,
gruesome demise.
yeah, absolute shock factor right there. Like that just really set the tone for this film.
I just
This makes
remember
you
seeing that. I'm like, whoa, geez, they're not starting easy with this at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Like, holy cow.
It's like moments like that make you realize if these things are capable of killing a toddler, then nobody's safe.
No one's safe, and it doesn't care what it is. It doesn't care if you're I mean, yeah, I mean, understandably they're blind, but it's like they don't care if you're big, small, tall, baby, child, teen, adult, senior. It doesn't matter what kind of animal you are nothing to it but prey. It doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't care.
yeah. You make a noise, and then it goes after you. Plain and
You're
simple.
done.
Yeah,
That you just basically put it as some people say, you just made the sound of death for you. That's death calling you, in other words.
oh yes, and then this also creates some serious, like a pretty compelling subplot in the film, because Reagan throughout the rest of the film feels guilty about Bo's death, because she fact that she gave him that shuttle toy, even though she didn't intend for him to pick up the batteries and make that thing make noise. But
Yeah.
which creates tension between her and and between what was his name? Lee. Lee was John Krasinski's character's name. I just
Lee,
remembered.
yeah.
Yeah. It creates tension between her and Lee because she believes that Lee blames him for Bo's death. So, and not only that, but also another subplot is where Lee was trying to piece together a cochlear implant so that for Reagan to use, but they never But to this point of the film, they have not worked. It's been unsuccessful. So Reagan pretty much gave up all hope in actually getting a device that could help her
Yeah.
hear.
Like achieving the ability to sound, like a hearing aid.
Yes, because that's one of because that actually depicted a real life situation for the deaf culture. Is that they actually how a lot of deaf people out there, they struggle to find a cochlear implant that's capable of helping them hear again.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's a
It's
struggle for
still a
many.
struggle, and it's still a struggle to this day. I mean, you would have thought in this day and age, we finally would have something that would, really well, I mean, there actually is someone that you might find this hard to believe. There's actually a doctor that believes he may have found supposedly the cure for deafness. But the worst part of it is that we just don't really, it hasn't been fully publicized. In other words, like we don't know if it's fully legit that this will actually work, because just because it will work on one person doesn't mean it will work on the next. It has to be something that will basically, maybe not fully, but be kind of somewhat the ultimate cureness for deafness. So you never know. So but still, even with that, it's still, we're still struggling with trying to come up with people, for the deaf community.
Yes.
And
Well,
blindness too, not just for the deaf, but for the blind.
yeah, but for yeah, it's crazy you brought up blindness, because actually when I was driving home from work today, I actually did see someone crossing the street, and at first I was thinking, oh, this person's walking slow, but then I noticed she was had that stick like
Yeah, the
walking with
cane.
the cane.
Yeah,
I was thinking, oh, this woman's blind. Oh, okay, I understand now.
right,
So it's
right.
crazy you brought that up,
Yeah,
but yeah, there are all kinds of conditions out there that everyone struggles with. It's basically, yeah, everybody has their own challenges in life. It's a constant struggle. But in terms of the deaf community, like there are advances in technology with as far as improving the cochlear implants and in treatments. So there is hope for them.
right. Although Tom points out, okay, stray thought, you gotta wonder if there was a definite cure for deafness, but it caused some other sense to go as a side effect. Would anyone really take it? That is true. There is always a risk that even if that does happen, there's risks involved.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
there's always risks involved, especially with anything that's experimental.
right? Yeah. So until it's really been tested, it's really that kind of thing where even if it does, something like that does exist, unfortunately, we're not fully out of the woods just yet.
Hmm. And I should mention, Nick, I actually did take when I went to Western Kentucky University during my time there. I actually did take an American Sign Language class. So
Oh, is that
I
right?
learned.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I did. I felt like it was beneficial to learn because you know how people with autism like us, there are a few of them out there that are nonverbal that do communicate with sign language. So I thought, okay, maybe this will be a beneficial thing to learn. So yeah,
Right,
and
right.
also not only that, but also the professor who taught the class actually is deaf. So yeah,
Oh,
I
oh,
learned.
wow.
Oh yeah, I basically learned from someone who was pretty much learn new sign language his entire life. So I learned from an expert.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm also just checking really quickly, see if there's any comments from the personal page. So far, we haven't really had. I haven't gotten any comments from my personal page, although we gotten a couple likes out of it. So I just wanted to address to make sure we didn't miss anything.
I see.
Uh, and then Tom here says, and if there's a commercial for it in today's world, they would say the commercial, if you are allergic to whatever it's called or any of its ingredients, do not take this. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that's another factor. Like there are certain like ingredients in medications that some people have allergic reactions to. Like
Right, right.
the only thing I know of that I'm allergic to is just penicillin. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, I gotta watch out for that stuff. That's why if I'm if there ever comes a time where I do need medication, I do have to like pay close attention to ingredients. You can't be careless with it.
I mean, I'm allergic to stuff, and that I've had my spring allergies and sometimes fall allergies, but to this day, I still don't even know what it is that I'm allergic to. You know, I've been around now for almost 30 years, and I still haven't even figured out what it is that I'm allergic to.
Well,
I
yeah,
just
if
think
you're
that it is sad to have to tell people to not take things they are allergic to. Yeah.
well, yeah, we that's why they put these things on what I'm also
Oh, he's
allergic to.
also allergic to
Oh,
penicillin.
I see. Well, welcome to the club, Tom. Yeah,
I just hope
but
you're not. I just hope you're not allergic to pickles. He's pickled Tom. I got to tell him that.
but so like throughout the film, like I just love how like these the main characters of this make all kinds of smart choices when it comes to like avoiding, yeah, like when it comes to avoiding these creatures, like trying to take precautions and to avoiding making sound because we already covered the sand trails, right, or flower, whatever that stuff is,
Yeah, the
quieting,
flower trails.
yeah, to quiet their footsteps, but also their. You ever remember? Do you remember in where it showed the interior of the houses where they show those white spots on the hardwood floors?
Yeah,
Yeah, they step on those white spots to avoid like the creaking floorboards,
yeah,
so that
creaking
way their footsteps.
floorboards.
Yeah, so it's like you look at all these details, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is like, wow, so this is all so well thought out.
Right, right. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that's quite it's quite it's really, I mean, you could tell that they really had tried had planned this, the best they could to avoid basically what you would say certain death.
mm-hmm. Because like I said before, nobody is safe in a world where like armor plated monsters are hunting by sound.
Yeah, Tom,
Yeah,
I know that all too well, how you have a tendency to get people sidetracked on live feeds. I know that all too well.
yeah, yeah.
You don't need
I'm
this.
from
Are you sure you're saying? Are you? I gotta just ask. I mean, for you to say sorry, are you sure that you're saying sorry on the right show?
let's see.
uh,
Here.
um, Also not screaming when feeling fear. Yeah,
Yeah,
do it on my
that's
own
also
too.
true.
I know you do, Tom.
Yep. And oh, they also have like this extra like measure that the family takes whenever they notice that one of these creatures is like nearby on the property at the and at their basically their safe house, their home, is they have like these lights set up all around and that normally are just usual white lights, right? But then when one of these creatures are around, they actually got to set these. They turn the lights into red as like a signal, not letting everyone
Yeah,
know that danger is nearby.
yeah, like an SOS or danger. Yeah,
But like, kind of like pulling a fire alarm.
yep,
Yeah.
very much like that. So though it's like white means normal and red means danger.
Oh yes. And one thing I was also impressed by was the radio room that Lee uses to try to like get in touch with anybody in around the world. So, like using Morse code.
Yeah,
Like how submarines had used like in the older wars, like World War I, World War II.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, and and surrounding him are all these newspaper clippings showing like articles of the attacks as they happened throughout the world. Like one of them, I believe, said that New York was in lockdown. One of them, I think, said like London was being attacked. So it lets you know it's not just this place that the place they're in,
it's
their town
global.
their town that's being affected. It's global.
Yep. So there's no safe place and there's no escape.
Yep. And
Uh,
there's
Kind of like they do in the Silent Hill games with the static on the radios.
yeah, I can see
It's
that.
talking about the lights again.
Yep. Oh man, and so like and also another part of the story, then when they skip ahead, like after Bo was killed, they skip ahead to day 400. I forgot the exact number, 400 something.
It's been, I
It was
haven't
just
seen it since
it-
the
yeah.
theatrical release, so I don't remember how many days go by
So
during this whole course.
oh yeah, it was roughly a year later. So a year later, and it shows that Evelyn is pregnant, having another baby.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and when I first saw that, like in the trailers, that she was pregnant, which obviously would add more tension to the film, than knowing that oh man, now they're gonna have to have a baby in a post apocalyptic world. but also it's like I'm thinking they do realize babies cry and make noise, right?
I was gonna say, what's usually the result of a damn, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's like I'm losing words tonight. A delivered pregnancy, a lot of noise. You got mom
Yeah.
screaming, and then you got the baby crying afterwards. So
Yes.
there's a lot
Oh,
that definitely generates a lot of noise, and I mean a lot.
yeah, but then I saw later on that they were setting up like a room covered with like newspapers, like a kind of like a padded room, like to block out all noise. And it's they said showing that this is where they were planning on keeping the baby. I'm just thinking, oh, okay, so
Like
they're
a
taking
soundproof room.
a soundproof room. Yes, so they're taking precautions. Okay, now it's starting to make sense.
And the only room where they could actually talk in without uh relying on sign language.
Oh yes,
Might be
because
getting movie. Sorry, I'm just reading Anthony's comment. Might be getting movie mixed in. Question about bird sound in movie.
hmm,
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry,
I'm not sure what movie that is.
bird sound. I'm sorry, I don't know what.
Having a baby in itself can be a loud experience, especially without meds. Yep. You're dealing with that scene. She's not in a hospital. She doesn't
Yeah.
have the meds. She doesn't have the type of, numbing like modern, like the modern world uses. So you're talking about an apocalyptic, you know, delivering a baby in an apocalyptic world. You're basically going back to the old fashioned way, and that can be a very, very painful experience for the mother. So again, it's no wonder why that's pretty much among one of the main reasons why it's going to generate noise, which is screaming.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. There are no hospitals, no doctors around, nothing to help. And yeah, like in like, wow. I think about this kind of makes me now that I think about it, like about a doctor being thrown into the if a doctor was thrown in the mixer, like this would be like the first time in modern times where a house call is being made because I don't think doctors do house calls anymore, do they?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure it's still practiced like in some parts of the world, but I don't know about here. That's a
At
good
least not
question, though.
at least not in America anyway.
Bird warning people that creatures are near.
Oh, you're thinking of Bird Box.
Bird Box. Okay.
Yeah. Did you see Bird Box
I've
yet, Nick?
never seen Bird Box before.
Okay, well, there's like the part of the story where if the creatures are nearby, like birds are alert, like make noise. So they keep like a cart, like a little shoebox of little sparrow, like little birds to have like because they have to like wear blindfolds because if they look at these creatures, then it causes insanity and makes them commit suicide or kill others. That's like the whole premise of Bird Box, but they have like a shoebox with these little birds that will alert them if there any of these creatures are nearby. These flying, I'm guessing flying creatures because they're only seen like in the sky. And that's another thing that I now that I think about it, like they never show them. I don't know. I don't think they ever show the monsters in Bird Box.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen Bird Box before, but I have seen it though. I mean, I've heard of it, just never seen it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it a few years ago. Yeah, it's worth seeing if you go on Netflix. Yeah, it's
How long
I would
ago was it released?
2018 or 19. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, so the same year as A Quiet Place did.
Roughly around the same time as Quiet Place. But
Oh wow,
yeah,
I'm
Bird Box.
looking it up. Oh wow, Sandra Bullock is in it. Oh geez, even
Yeah,
Sarah Paulson's it. John Malkovich. Geez, it's got quite a number of big names in this film.
yeah, it's got a good cast to it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
became the
believe me, it's
most
definitely.
watched film on became the most watched film on Netflix within 28 days of release.
Oh
Release.
yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was huge when it came out. So yeah,
Days.
I'd say give it a. So Nick, if you have Netflix, I'd say give it a watch.
I think yeah, we have Netflix. We also got HBO Max.
Sweet.
So you could probably watch it through either one of those platforms.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think it's only Netflix. It was a Netflix premiered film.
I'll look it up. It sounds interesting though, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So basically the only thing you can do with these the like I was saying before, the only thing you can do with these creatures is just try to stay quiet and avoid them, because
Right.
you can't just try to attack these things, like, because they're armor plated, so guns won't do anything. Taking a knife to them, I imagine, wouldn't do anything.
Sure, even using a type of like bomb or grenade is not going to do anything. You basically have your simple weapons just won't help you at all. They're just they're useless against them, especially since they have this armored bullet-like proof skin that or scales that they got.
Yeah, I believe they're bulletproof scales. But yeah, when I look at movies like this, I just think, when I look at post-apocalyptic horror films, it makes me wonder, like, if something like this happened in real life, how would the government deal with it? Like,
That's the real question. Or, like oh man, that's just such a good question, to be honest. Like how how
yeah,
how do you even fight them if you even got the military involved?
yeah, it's like, would a tank shell be able to destroy them? Would oh man, as long as they don't do anything extreme, like dropping like nukes or something. Ugh,
That's insane.
yeah. Like
Excuse me.
last time I asked a question like that, like when I look at a zombie movie, I even think that, like, how would a government be able to deal with that too?
Right. Exactly.
It's like,
I was
and
just
also when you look at Quiet Place, you look at any of these scenarios like this. The biggest question for me is how would anybody be able to sleep with this going on? Like, if I was in a quiet place, I wouldn't be able to sleep. Would you?
I don't think so, at least not for a while.
Oh man, especially for, also, like, if people who snore too, like,
I
you're at
was I
risk.
was That's funny you just brought that up because I was just thinking about, like, even if you were asleep, you're not even sleeping, you're sleeping because some people are known to snore, and that generates noise once again.
Exactly. So basically, if you snore, you're probably some of the first people to go.
You're screwed. You basically are sleeping to death, in other words.
Yeah, but hey, yeah, like but yeah, dying in your sleep, basically.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh man, that's crazy. I didn't even think of that until just now.
I wasn't even thinking about that either.
Yeah, I mean, we basically can't like do much of. There's like a whole lot of things that you cannot do if, like, those things were real. Like, I actually looked up online. Like, there's the website Villains Wikia, which is like the number one.
Yep, I've gone on that site, Villains
Yeah,
Wiki.
yeah, that's the one site I trust most when it comes to, like, learning about villains, especially in horror films, and they call these things death angels.
Yeah, they do, and it's really the one site where, like, people I mean, it doesn't always show everything, but it really is the kind of site that really kind of gives a possible explanation to certain types of, you know, villains in movies, especially when it comes to a movie like this, where we really don't get too much of an idea of what these creatures are, other than the fact that they are hostile extraterrestrial beings.
Yes, and it is like they never say, like, where they came from, and, like, if they are alien, what planet did they come from? What like, do they just go around other planets and just basically annihilate? Are they just annihilating every planet? Like, all life, just basically planet by planet, be it like anything that makes noise. Like,
Well,
is
that's the
this
thing. Go ahead, sorry.
like is Earth like the first time the first planet they've ever invaded, or or is this like just one of many that they've already attacked and annihilated, and we were just next?
Yeah, that makes you wonder, really, it does, about have have they had, like you said, is it have they attacked further beyond Earth? Is it not have they attacked other planets like this? Because I did look up, I decided to just kind of look them up myself. As you said, they're called Death Angels, and they oh, I don't even know how I missed it, that they arrived on Earth inside a meteorite. See,
Hmm.
I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing a meteoroid. I thought originally, like, classic alien stuff. I thought they had UFOs or some base or some in base that they had, or that they were just some type of scavengers.
That's in the second film where they showed that.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
To
you
be
need to
honest
watch
with
part. You need to watch part 2, man.
you. Yeah, I do. I know I do.
Yeah, but
One other thing I did notice about those creatures, by the way,
yeah,
and this is actually something I learned from the villains Wikia,
right.
is, and I'm sure you were probably going to bring this up at some point, but I also found out that they don't like water. They actually can't swim in it, and they'll actually drown.
Yeah, that's true. They have no swimming ability whatsoever. So, like, basically, an island would be your best option of survival.
And that's just kind of surprising how we don't hear any other survivors that are just living on an island, because that's, yeah, if you want to continue living the rest of your life in the apocalyptic world, it would have to be one of those islands, because those creatures aren't going to make, well, that is provided that, they don't, more of them don't figure out a way to get to the island.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so if this happens in real life, then I'm thinking, okay, Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. But you better
Yeah.
make sure it's one of those really small islands, because again, provided that it's not large enough for them to still stalk you in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I just love all the suspense, the build up, like whenever those creatures like lurking nearby, crawling on walls, and especially in the scene like where it leads up to Evelyn finally like going into labor at like the worst possible time where these creatures are roaming, and what starts that is like there was like her stepping down into the basement where there was a sharp nail sticking out of
Oh,
oh,
yeah, I
oh
remember that. Oh, God, that
that
made
was
me
the most
cringe.
that was the most
That
cringe
was
moment of
bad.
the that was the most cringe-worthy moment of the entire
You
film.
know,
Oh.
it is funny. It is funny. I forgot about that scene, and now you brought it up. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah, that was painful. I was like, that made me really cringe.
Yeah, like the nail sticking out of the stair. You know what that made me think of? Daniel Stern when he stepped on that nail in Home Alone. Oh,
And you know what? You might find this hard to believe, Don. I've been through that. Well, not necessarily, but let me put it this way. I almost been through that, actually.
hmm,
Because the rental house we have, when
yeah.
I first came down, when I first arrived at that house, it was still under, there was a lot of restoration that needed to be done.
Hmm.
And on one occasion, we were downstairs in the basement, and like in some houses, like the plate, like where they hold the rugs together, they got those little boards of wood, and they got the nails sticking out of them, the
Yeah.
little tiny ones.
Hmm.
I literally stepped on one of those. But yeah, it's not pretty. It's horrible. But the good part was when I started feeling that, I immediately yanked my foot off before my foot was going to be impaled, if you will, and I didn't even bleed. So thank goodness
So
I was damn lucky. But man, I'll tell you though, it is when you step on something like that, like what you see in the films, but now someone who's kind of gone through something like that. For a brief second, the pain was more than words can say.
ooh,
It's
man.
bad. It's really
Yeah.
bad. Don't ever experience that. You will
No.
be sorry.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, you also have to worry about, get whatever, tetanus. Go get a tetanus shot after that.
Well, that's why I was so happy I didn't fully step on it, because the mistake that I made was when I got in the house, I took off my shoes. All I had was my socks on. So, the socks obviously didn't offer any protection. Of course,
Oh
right
yeah.
after that, I immediately ran up the stairs and got my shoes on.
Oh yeah. Socks will do nothing like when it comes to nails.
Yeah,
But
so it's
so
not pretty when you step on something like that.
no, it's not. But as we have seen in this film, because then yeah, like she steps on a nail, it makes noise, and then the creatures start coming to the house, and she's hiding in the bathroom in the bathtub, trying to avoid the key creatures as best as she can. But then, uh, now she's unable to refrain from making noise while giving birth, and right as she screams, you know, the craziest timing ever is when they activate the fireworks, everything outside to like draw the creature's attention away from the house.
Yeah, like creating a distraction for them.
Oh yeah, they it's crazy how they just they like the way they just plan every possible, like they're well prepared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
it's
and you think about
it's I always wonder what about animals in horror movies when they're in nature areas.
when they're nature eras. Oh
Heroes. I thought,
yeah,
hey Angelo, good to see you.
oh, Angelo, great to see you. Yeah, we were just going over the uh, the the whole aspect of how sign language is used throughout the film, because to avoid the drawing the creature's attentions because they hunt by sound, and how the actress Melissa Simmons, who is deaf in real life, has been teaching the cast and crew about sign language to use through the production of Quiet Place, and also how we compared like how if this scenario had played out in the real world, and because yeah, I imagine we'd be screwed for the most part.
Yeah.
And also, we raised that question that I don't think anybody really thought of just yet. We mentioned like some of the first people to go if these creatures were real. Some of the first people would go would be people who snore.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Quiet Places movie is a really unique horror film I've ever watched.
Oh
It
yes,
is. It really is.
it truly is. It's like, and it just surprised me how John Krasinski, one of the most unlikely people, came up with all this without any prior experience with horror.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, he was mostly known for playing Jim in The Office. Hilarious show, by the way. Yeah, I mean,
And even
sometimes you
funny
just
enough, they've been trying to make attempts to revive the series in some way, like as like a 6-part special or whatever, or try to have like some kind of reunion or something. So it's all kind of it's funny to think, how John Krasinski, the way how he's been putting his career with, these horror films at the same time, they're trying to get him back for The Office too.
oh yeah, yeah. I would love to see The Office being brought back. Like
It almost makes
hopefully.
me curious now to see like how things are going, like how things are going with that.
Oh yeah, you still get to be scared and thrilled even in silence. Oh yeah, total. These people have to live in total silence. So yeah, that's one of the things that's unique about this film is like almost no verbal dialogue. Almost
Right.
everything is done through sign language. And oh yeah, like well, then again, there's also the scene where Lee takes his son Marcus out to like show to teach him about rules of surviving in this now post-apocalyptic world where there's killer aliens running around who will basically just tear you apart if they hear you.
Right.
Yeah. So like I love the scene like where in the when they were go up to a waterfall and they could just scream all they want and the waterfall covers the noise. He teaches them basically how to they like use sound around them to like avoid being detected.
And then again, it gives that perspective of as long as they're near water, they're pretty safe because these creatures cannot swim because again they will drown if they attempt to attack. Even if they could hear it, that's like a suicide mission at that point.
Yep. So if this does happen in real life, I'm taking the first boat out to Hawaii.
John Krasinski is a good choice for directing horror movies. He's so perfect as Reed Richards in the MCU.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. We all saw that movie that night when we all gathered for the birthday party.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh, yep. The
And,
new
I
Doctor
just decided to
Strange.
look. I was like so excited to see him on in there. That was cool. And
I
I
didn't really
decided to look up. By the way, speaking of which, obviously involving John Krasinski, I decided to look up. So what's the status right now? Like, if he ever got involved back in The Office, and it said that well, they say that the most recent update was 2 years ago, March of 2020. Former showrunner Greg Daniels, sadly, he's expressed doubts at a reboot being possible. And later that year, former NBC president of original content, Bill McGoldrick, stated that a reboot has not come up specifically for Peacock, though, they haven't fully, given up. They're just saying for now, there's just no way that they can do it. Hopefully that will change, though.
Oh, yeah, let's just have hope.
Also, running water running could cover up normal talking. Yep.
Like water running in a stream or water running in a bathtub, because if it's in a bathtub, then yeah, those things are drawn to that. And
yeah, that still generates, it's different. Like if it's like you saw with the waterfalls, but if it's something like involving a toilet or a sink or a shower, that's still going to generate noise.
Oh yeah, and also you can't bump into any cars if you're walking down the if you're walking down the street, because they'll go after car alarms, and there's a chance they'll also detect you too.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, and all this thinking about these creatures hunting by sound. I haven't really seen anything like that in horror except since Tremors.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's like the same thing with Tremors. They have the graboids. They have no eyes, but they detect by sound and vibrations.
Yep, and I have it somewhere in here, but that film is another childhood favorite of mine.
Awesome movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was
The
a great
only
one.
difference is it's not. The only difference though is that it's not really apocalyptic. It could become. I mean, yes, the later movies I heard, but at least for the original, it's not. It's not like the end of the world in that matter. It's more of even if it does have that aspect, that's just the beginning of it. But they prevent it from happening.
Oh yeah, I mean it does, like A Quiet Place. It does focus on just a small group of people focusing on monsters that hunt by sound. So it just doesn't have that. That just doesn't have the post-apocalyptic aspect of that.
Well, and also too, it takes place. The other difference is it takes place out in the desert where not too many people live.
Oh yeah,
If it was,
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. But oh man, like I think about the tension between Reagan and Lee. Like I said before, how Reagan feels that she feels guilt about Bo's death for giving him that space shuttle toy because it made the noise, even though she left the batteries out of the toy. Figured what's the harm if it doesn't make noise? But
Exactly.
and then in a pretty emotional scene where she goes to the bridge where Bo had died, and like basically there's a shrine, a memorial there for him. Like it shows like basically a little grave.
Yep.
And also that toy that was there, it has a claw mark into it. After one of those, the creature had killed him, and then
Right.
she looks at the toy and snips the wiring. To the point where it wouldn't make noise. It just like did the lights.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's like a oh man, and
Let's be honest. I mean, you haven't seen. I mean, we on many occasions, yes, we've seen kids getting killed in these horror films, but you haven't really seen something involving a kid's death that violence like that in years. I mean, I should have even addressed that opening scene where he gets killed by one of the creatures is one of the roughest and certainly one of the most violent death scenes of a kid that I think you and I have seen within several years.
Oh yeah, at least well, for the most part it was like off screen. It doesn't really show like any the bow being ripped apart or anything. It just shows like the creature just and just going at him, and just like he's being flown off screen.
Right.
Yeah, but still not as not as hard to, but still not as disturbing. What?
For you just say WTF. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But still like not as disturbing as a more recent film, Antlers, where the Wendigo kills a kid, like with the school bully.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, like that one was like even worse. Like you can actually you hear the kid screaming in agony and this flesh tearing, and oh man.
Yeah.
That was
I don't know what it is. It seems like that's starting, however, to become more common. It's like kind of raises the eyebrow, like, Why now? Like, why all of a sudden at this point we're seeing this? Like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, like horror films. They get more like they just keep getting more and more disturbing as time goes on.
That's right. That's
Oh
right.
yeah, but what shocks me, one of the most shocking moments, like was toward like the end of the film where Lee has to goes out to to save Reagan and Marcus when when they're out there in the trying to like get back to the house when the creatures are roaming around, like narrowly avoiding them to the point where they're like inside of the car hiding from them, and Lee comes across them and like basically says his final goodbye to the kids before sacrificing himself so that they can get away.
Right.
Oh yeah,
That was quite shocking, to be honest. I didn't expect him to do that.
it's
Like,
like even if
that was just like, I think that if you remember, for like a lot of people in the audience, just like, bam, that just knocked our heads off. Like, wow.
yeah, it just showed that he was willing to protect his kids, even if it meant his own life.
Right.
Man, wow. I mean,
But it's also sad in a way, because now, without that fatherly presence anymore, now they don't have, even though it was an act of sacrifice, now they don't have that full protection anymore like they did once he sacrificed himself.
yeah. And then when they finally at the end when they finally could discover how to fight back, that was like some of the most brilliant one of the most brilliant parts of the whole film.
That was
Where they
so satisfying to
Yes,
see.
it was a satisfying ending where like, everyone is gathered up in the basement, cornered, it's seemingly cornered inside the house, but then they finally discover how to defeat these creatures, at least stun them to the point where they can be like in a weakened state. And it had to do with, like I said, one of the most important aspects of the film, the cochlear implant, Reagan's cochlear implant. It was
Right.
giving, it was creating a frequency that hurts the creatures, like stuns them in place, and so like and that was hinted in certain parts of the film, when it was going after the kids and like their high frequency sound was going off in her ear, it was hurting her, but it was also hurting the creatures. So
Yeah, it was
now
like
they
the
finally,
go
yep.
ahead,
So
sorry,
now
go
they,
on.
I said, so now they finally discovered how to fight back.
Yeah, it's like the high pitched sound is painful to him.
The high pitched feedback noise.
Feedback, excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah. So when they amplify it with the use of a microphone because they were inside the radio room, and that exposed the part of the creature's head, and then they used a shotgun at it to take it down.
Right.
Like,
It's it's like your only chance to really, like, once they're in that kind of state of pain, that's like your only opportunity to basically defeat and kill them.
oh
To
yes,
kill and defeat them, in other words.
yeah. It's like they were trying to discover it's like they were trying to discover a weakness of it and a way to get out of this mess, and also at the same time help Reagan with her cochlear implant. And the same solution and both of them led to a solution that cochlear implants free like feedback. Oh,
Right.
yeah. And
Jace.
wow. And and one of the and like I said, the biggest aspect of Reagan is that she had very little hope in actually like having a cochlear implant that actually like worked to improve her hearing. But then, she had no faith in it, and yet it was ended up becoming their salvation.
Right.
The
Man.
key to actually getting the upper hand. Oh, attack
Attack from
from
Mars.
oh, he means Mars attacks.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be.
But it wasn't like feedback noise, it was music
It
that
was music. Yeah,
that
that
was
was
the
a
weakness.
different story. The feedback is probably, um, really, I think one of the smartest ways to really kind of give that message, well, kind of send that understanding that yes, that these creatures could hear just about anything and that they'll attack anything that they hear. But there are certain types of noises out there in which they're extremely vulnerable to and do not like the noise at all because it's painful to them.
Yeah. Wow. Sometimes it's the little things.
Yeah.
Wow. And
It's
then
the little things that defeat the big stuff.
oh yes. Oh, and then finally, when obviously the shotgun blast is gonna draw the sound of it is gonna draw the other creatures, but this time in that final moment of the film, it showed they were prepared.
Yep.
Yep. Finally, figuring out how to fight back at these things, and
It
and
gives
then
that aspect like the real war with these creatures for the world really has finally begun because now they figure out how they can defeat them.
yep, defeat them so that they'll no longer have to live in a quiet place.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of say it.
Yeah. So, and of course, we go to into part two where they try to they leave the house. They leave their property for the first time since the beginning of these attacks, and that
That's what we learned from War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. Oh yeah, except War of the Worlds. I believe their weakness in that. Oh yeah, I think he said trying to say that the sometimes just the little things that make a
Yeah,
difference.
in
Well,
War of the Worlds, it's the viruses and bacteria that we have. I mean, as bad as it is for us, it's lethal and deadly for the aliens. So, just like simply a common cold or something like that. That's an extremely deadly variant to the aliens.
yep, yes, and yeah, I mean that to me makes a lot more sense than the weakness of the aliens and signs.
Oh yeah.
That was
Aliens and
stupid.
sci that was ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
one
like
thing for the creatures in a quiet place to be vulnerable to water only because they can't swim, they'll drown in it. That's one thing. But in a movie like Signs where the water is dangerous to the touch, that seems odd to me.
yes. Not only that, but also raises the question as to in signs, like why would the aliens in signs why would they invade a planet that's primarily made of an element that will kill them?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you have to know that there's
yeah,
water
I
on this
mean,
planet. You could see it from space that the Earth is over 75% covered in water.
I was about to say Earth is 70% water, so you better get used to the fact
Like,
or better realize that if it's dangerous to you, then that's probably a planet you may not want to take over. Take over Mars, which has got
yeah,
lesser water.
yeah. Oh, and also in signs they're also vulnerable like if it rains too.
Yeah. Like, yeah, what are you gonna do if it rains?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
like that's like true acid rain at that point.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta say I never experienced acid rain. Like I know that's a thing, yes, but it's just that I never actually seen it around here.
I never have. I mean, it's not in spite of its name, obviously, it's not dangerous when it touches us. I think it's just simply like normal raindrops. But I did hear, unfortunately, though, it is known to cause damage to like metal, like certain parts, cars, certain parts
Plant
of
life,
houses. I've even been heard it's been known to damage,
plant life.
parts of trees.
Yep.
But it's not dangerous or lethal to us, despite its name.
Oh, I hear you. Oh, oh wait, hang on.
Someone messaged you.
Oh yeah, someone just messaged me. I'll respond to it in a little bit.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna check on the
it
checking
was
the
message.
personal. Sorry,
Oh
what?
yeah, it was a message from my friend Pat. I'll respond to it a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's like M Night Shyamalan is known for creating twists, but I don't know. This is just one instance where the twist, it's like sure it has good build up, but in the end it just raises more questions.
It really does. And we
Yeah,
never got like a almost like full explanation out of that. I mean, it was weird. I mean, to me, like for a movie like Signs, I mean, that ending, it just didn't make sense the least bit.
yeah. I mean, that's why I feel Yeah, science is just meh to me.
Yeah,
So
it was
yeah,
good
no,
until the end.
yeah.
In
I
my
mean, the Sixth Sense. Now that was a good one.
yeah, it was.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, so back to A Quiet Place. So like I said, there was a sequel that was released in 2021 after being delayed due to the COVID pandemic. So they intended it to be released in 2020, but it's where they leave their property to like try to get the message out that these creatures can be killed with weakened by frequency sounds by or feedback.
Feedback. Yep.
Yep. So then I believe there was actually another sequel being planned. I believe it's going to be released in 2023 or 2024.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
looked it up. Let me see if I can find it
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I decided to look that up out of curiosity.
Yeah, one of those years.
And let's see where what they said. Well, there's actually a few other additions to it, actually.
Oh,
Let me see if I can. Oh, wait a minute, hang on. I have to go to the part two page.
okay.
Okay, so what they're saying now about the future is they're also making a spin-off.
Oh,
In November 2020, Paramount Pictures hired Jeff Nichols to write and direct a spin-off based on an original idea from John Krasinski, who will produce. However, Nichols exited the project by October 2021.
oh.
In January of this year, Michael Sarnowski joined production to replace Nichols as the writer and director. In April, Paramount announced that the film will be titled A Quiet Place Day One. Um,
So it's basically going to go over the day when the creatures came to Earth and started slaughtering everybody.
so it's gonna probably be more like a prequel in a way. The film is scheduled to be released on March. To answer your question, it is scheduled to be released on March 8th, 2024. It was originally set for September 22nd of next year, 2023. And in terms of the sequel, it says here in May of last year, Blunt revealed that Krasinski had plans for a third film, acknowledging that he wanted to see how the second installment was received before moving forward on the next film. She stated it is intended to be a trilogy. In July, Blunt confirmed that Krasinski is working on the third installment, separate from the spin-off film, with intentions to once again serve as director. In February of this year, Quiet Place Part 3 was officially announced with a scheduled release date in 2025. So it will be a while before we see the third one.
Oh yeah.
No, it's not a
So,
TV show. It's just going to be a spin off film. And finally, one more thing you should know, Dom. There's
mhm.
also yet another addition to it. They also planned in October of last year, and it was announced that a video game set within the same continuity as the film series is in development. The game will reportedly include an untold original story. The developer stated the A Quiet Place video game will let fans experience the tension of the films with a level of immersion they've never felt before.
Oh man, the closest I've
So
ever
there's
had to that.
also what's that?
I was saying the closest experience I've ever had to that is in the Resident Evil 2 remake, where you have to go through the police department and there's lickers roaming around. You have to like walk around like dead silent when they're like crawling on the walls, and you're just trying to avoid being detected, not make the slightest noise that could draw their attention. And I gotta
Right.
tell you, like that feels like so like I'm immersed at that point. I'm just trying to carefully avoid these creatures because otherwise they'll just pounce and claw you, just like the creatures from A Quiet Place.
Yeah, it does. And now there's a video game coming out of it, so you might have to. I'm actually wondering, like, how on earth are they going to like? What's your defense mechanisms? I mean, or do you have any? So is it going to be kind of like Outlast, if you will? Is it going to be like your only options are run, hide, or die? That's what I wonder. Because
Yeah.
they're not that easy. You know that we now know that there's ways to kill these creatures. It's not easy considering how fast they go.
Oh yeah. Like they're fast. They're like cheetahs. They'll just
Yeah,
dart
so
right at.
I just wonder how so the way how I see it as of right now, the future of A Quiet Place is we're probably going to see the video game come out first. Hopefully that'll be on Steam. Then the spin-off film will come out in 2024, and then the third and final film of A Quiet Place will be released.
Yeah, they're making all kinds of horror films into video games. I mean,
Yep.
a few years ago, they released Friday the 13th, the game, which was intended to be a remake of that terrible, terrible NES game I played years and years ago for only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then they create, like the Evil Dead game, and now Killer Clowns from Outer Space game. And there's I believe there's talks about a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
I
if
heard
that
about
has not
that
been released
too.
yet.
Every horror movie is getting a video game now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if the new Mortal Kombat games had anything to do with it, because they've had characters like from horror films being used as as fighters in the games.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I don't even know what to think anymore with all these different games that they keep coming out with.
I know, it's crazy. Oh man, it's like I don't know. Maybe some of these movies are like using video games to like help fund sequels to things. Like, because we were talking about how Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, may be being used for that purpose to create a new movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I dropped my phone. I don't know if as far as continuing franchises, like I'm wondering what it would be like if they made another Friday the 13th. I mean, it's been like 13 years now since the last one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's really I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know if it's just popularity or what. It's just something that they've just been doing now for the last couple of years.
oh yeah. But I mean, A Quiet Place, a video game that I might be interested in. Yeah, just to see
That
how
will be
well.
interesting. That will be interesting seeing how it looks when it comes out.
Because as far as I'm concerned, probably the best possible, video game based on movies, the best example of them is this.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I still have it too. Still got my copy.
Oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
this copy
Big
for
old
over.
guy.
I've had this copy for over 20 years now, so
So have we.
still works great. This thing's an antique.
Movie like Children in Attic or Children of the Corn. Corn.
They actually are working on Children of the Corn, like a prequel,
Video
I think.
game.
No, a movie.
That you know what that means, Don? That's going to involve corn.
Yep. The most terrifying vegetable that has ever been conceived.
And it's not going to be eaten. It's going to be far worse than you could ever imagine.
Yep.
And maybe I could try to get my name onto it because I'm Nick of the Corn.
Yeah, but I believe they're making a prequel to Children of the Corn. So I don't know how that's going to play out, because they've done a terrible job with actually trying to like remake Children of the Corn or make sequels to it. It's yeah.
That's just yeah.
No, they have not done the best job with that. So I don't really have that much faith in a prequel.
No, they don't.
No, I'm saying I don't. I don't.
Well, no, I don't either. And I know a lot of others that aren't.
Oh yeah. But I think we're down to the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, we're only down to 4 minutes left because I think Greg's doing his show tonight. So we will have to end in about 4 minutes.
Oh yes.
And I hate to tell you this, I hate to tell you this too, by the way, because I just decided to look it up.
What's up?
There is another remake confirmed for Children of the Corn, this time directed by Kurt Wimmer. Oh, actually, this time, this is interesting. They filmed this one in Australia during the COVID pandemic. It is also reported, though surprisingly, yes, it's not a remake, but yeah, it's insisted as a prequel to the original 1984 film. So
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, like you said. Well, no, I just read it. So wow, I'm Australia. That's I mean, out of everywhere, that's quite an interesting area to make a prequel film.
It is. I mean, I would love to visit Australia one day. It seems like a great country.
It is. And speaking of which, we did have, because I was looking at my, from my personal profile, even though we didn't really have any comments come through. I think we got a couple likes, and one of those was from one of my investigator friends who lives down in Australia, Suzette.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Australia, I definitely got first chance I get, I'm going. I want to experience all the great things about it.
We're gonna have to do a show at some point to talk about some of the Australian horror films.
We should. I do have one in mind. It
Yeah,
was a film that I recently purchased digitally. It's called Rogue.
Rogue. I've heard of that one.
Yep. Inspired by the true story about a crocodile named Sweetheart who attacked boats. But in this film, it does more than just attack boats. It attacks more. It attacks more than boats.
Yep.
Yeah. But so to wrap this up, Quiet Place, a true masterpiece of modern horror, suspenseful, thrilling. Like it really. Oh man, tons of edge of your seat moments when the monsters are lurking around. Like in these cat and mouse, like kind of sort of scenes. I mean, it's and great characters and phenomenal acting to bring these characters to life. It is definitely worth seeing for any horror fan. And the sequel, is not half bad either.
Yeah, usually a lot of times the sequels kind of lose a lot of it because we normally would get the idea then of what's exactly going on, but it's quite an exception for the sequel is quite an exception. I hope they do well when the third one comes out, as well as this spin-off / prequel film that's coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for what they plan next for this franchise.
Right.
Oh yes. So, okay, it's almost like he's about to come on in a minute. So, yeah, Quiet Place. If you haven't seen it, definitely do it because I enjoyed seeing this in theaters and I still enjoy it today. So,
Yeah,
I give it, and of course I give it a thumbs up.
yeah, I give it a thumbs up too. Just really quickly too for anyone who wants to know what's going on for later this week. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm still on hiatus with Nick Files. I'm going to be bringing it back, however, in just a few weeks. But for this upcoming Thursday, for Supernatural Talk, I think it's just going to be another open mic discussion. So, really don't know what we're going to be talking about, to be honest. So, I guess we'll have to find out sooner or later. But yeah, that's what we got coming up for Supernatural Talk this upcoming Thursday.
All right, looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Yes. So, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be sure we'll tune in next week at same time, 8:30 p.m. And can't wait to be back on. See you guys next week. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.